Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you for joining us. My name is Jamie Staten, and I'm the Family Engagement Specialist here at TRECA. And tonight we are going to be having our federal programs review meeting where we go over the federal programs with our parents and families and ask for input. And we have Mr. Ron Stewart on the call here with us, and he's going to go ahead and walk us through all of this. So Ron, I will go ahead and turn this over to you. You will, if you're not speaking, you will want to mute your microphone so we don't get a bunch of static during the presentation. And then we will have question and answer time. So you can unmute yourself and ask a question, or you feel free to put your question in the chat box as well. So Ron, I will go ahead and turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Jamie. I appreciate people coming in tonight and listening to our presentation and participating really in our participation, because we do need parent input. Twice a year, we have a meeting to look at our federal programs, kind of where we are going and where we have been. Obviously, in the early spring, we're kind of in between what we started to do and what we're preparing to do next year. But we try to do this to make sure that we are complying with federal laws, that we're doing what we said we were going to do, and then offering an opportunity for parents to engage us and get their ideas. So that's what the meeting is about. We're going to talk a bit about the new program funds that came through with the COVID. In shorthand, they're ESSER, they're educational support. I'm just going to call it educational support funds. And it was an enormous gain for schools all over the United States. And certainly we are enjoying the opportunity to really do some deep planning and looking at how we can benefit each and every youngster in our program. In addition to that, providing some additional training for our staff. So we'll cover that as we go forward. One of the things that kind of gives us a skeleton, if you will, of how we are going to do programming this year and next year is through our school-wide plan. And the school-wide plan, it's having a little redo, and it's really intense. Mrs. Westendorf and I were just talking about that it's looking at all the angles of needs that students have, that we have, and then put together a plan based on those needs, just not something, oh, I've got an idea, let's go do it. It's actually based on the data that we get in. You've all probably heard one time or another, things are data driven. Well, truly, that's what we look at. Matter of fact, we meet weekly and we go through more data, more surveys and the like. So the school-wide plan is going to be based on data, and then the funds will flow into that plan so that we can do each one of the different components, if you will. The components, by the way, start off with parent engagement, and it goes through staff development, curriculum. It goes through meeting the needs, special needs of kids who, in fact, need additional support. So it's a very comprehensive type of plan. All right, we have another person in here. That's great. Let's take a look at the professional development, or I'm sorry, we're going to do the parent engagement. On our website, and I think that many of you who have been with us for a year or more probably know that we have a parent engagement plan. And that plan is an opportunity for the school and parents to get together to really look at what that means. What does it mean? It doesn't mean just having a grade level meeting, once every semester or once a year. It's really about coming together and figuring out what parents really need from the school. And that includes what's happening in the curriculum, everything from test scores to issues of health, issues of career planning, those types of things. And so that's in the plan. And we want you to think about that plan a little bit, or things that you want, and at the end of our conversation, let's talk about that. So jot that down, and we'll come back and take a look at that. The other thing that is in there, we have a compact, a parent-teacher compact. And what that is, it's really, again, our attempt and the federal government's attempt to set out what we are going to do for the students and for the parents, and what in turn the parents in particular need to do for us, so we can provide the very best educational opportunities for your child. And so that compact, again, Jamie, that's out on our web, I believe, the compact and the plan. And you can
I think we have it on the slides.
Is it on the slides?
Yeah. Are you able to follow through these slides in order? Because I think we have it a little bit farther down. Can you see the screen okay?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Do you want me to skip ahead to the...
Can we go ahead? Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. There we go. Yeah.
So do you want me to pull up the engagement policy?
Please.
Whoops. 1 second.
I just want to show the parents how that's kind of laid out. It kind of gives you an intro of what I just told you, why we do it and what it's about. And then the following things, TRECA itself, TDA, will go ahead and implement the following things. And as you read through there, we're going to involve the parents in a timely way in reviewing our grants. And that's one of the things that you're here tonight for, is to take a look at some of the grants. And if you've got comments, to let us know tonight, or send your comments to Jamie Staten, and we'll take a look at them. We gather quite a bit of information through these meetings, but as you can see, it goes through that. And the second part of it is that the parents, it gives an idea of the opportunities for this. The parent engagement means the following. It's assisting. I think it's important to look at, it's really assisting in children's behavior. It's looking at how we encourage children to be involved, and parents are full partners. And so that's the biggest issue. Those are the biggest components that we have in there. Also, the policy includes descriptions of what jointly developed means. And jointly developed is kind of neat that we're part of a digital environment, because we can survey you and you can contact us, and we can collect an awful lot of information on that. So you can kind of see what those components are, and take a look at the web, and you can take a look at and see particularly how each of those follow through. Let's go to the pledge, or the compact. The family pledge, the school family pledge, and the school parent compact are one and the same. And we preferred over the years to call it a pledge, because we're pledging to you, and you're kind of pledging to us that we're going to help each other in developing the students, your children, and all of our students. And so it's a commitment. If you look at it, it's a commitment to provide supervision of your youngster at home, to provide feedback to us, and to ensure that learning is taking place, studying is taking place, that they're actively engaged in the curriculum, in the lessons. So that's that two-way street. And again, it's important because you are really the lifeblood of making this all work when you think about it. The students are 100%, important to this whole thing. Number one, the parents likewise are important from the standpoint of driving this. Is that me by chance? No? Okay. If you think about it, we can provide the learning opportunities, the instruction, the support. The student can get that in, get the lessons online. But unless the parent is supervising that, it doesn't always work. So that's what the pledge is about, making sure that we're working together in making sure that the students learn. And that's just so very important. Jamie, do you want to go back to the front of that? Earlier in the presentation, about page, what would that be? Yeah, let's review the grant. Okay, that's fine. Couple of things. Usually our grants are called entitlement grants. We don't really have to compete for them. Every school in the United States, including ours, based on a number of data points, which include income status, poverty status, enrollment status, those types of things. We are guaranteed to be able to develop funds. And these entitlement funds are really, the law goes back to 1965 with Lyndon Johnson. And with the entitlement funds, this is where the predominant program came into view, was the Title I program. Title I program was called the Reading Program, for all to hear about, was the reading. But Title I does math and lots of other things as we get into it. But that's when it was generated. And each successive presidential administration comes through, they rename it. And they'll call it the Stafford grants. They'll call it it just slipped right out of my mind. I'm used to the Every Student Succeeds Act, ESSA. That's the grant now, or that's the act that puts it together. And what happens is that, maybe once every 6 or 7 years, they go in there and they develop a new grant process, grant objectives. And right now, we're probably not going to be changing this until the next administration comes in, possibly in 3 years, or the same administration is here. But it changes, like I say, 7 to 8 years out there. And then they add it. Sometimes they take away money, and sometimes they add money. We're fortunate that in recent what they call reauthorizations, we've always ended up with more money in the pot. The pot is divided. Ohio gets about $500 million in Title I funds. And it is truly the largest program. I said billion, $500 million It's the largest educational program the federal government has. The next highest is the special ed program, but with the Title I, it's based on enrollment, and low income, and foster children numbers, and what happens throughout the state is that it comes up with, let's say, 250,000 kids in the state. It goes in, they divide that out. Each child's worth X number of dollars. It comes back, and then we get that amount for our children. So our grant with Title I is about $600,000. And that's based on about 4,000 kids in that area. And we use those dollars for instruction. As you probably know, you've met Title I teachers. You've had the opportunity to see the curriculum there, and it does work. It's a lot of work to get the kids who are not reading well, not doing math well, or maybe not doing science well. But what we try to do is really go in there and help the student learn. So it's a helping type of grant. You don't talk about new subjects. You don't talk about, part two of anything. You're really looking at the fundamentals of learning. And our staff is really quite good. And Mrs. Westendorf manages many of those staff members. And I think that, she does a great job, and the teachers do a good job. Mrs. Westendorf, would you like to say a comment about the teachers that we have in Title I?
Thanks, Ron. I'd just like to add that our Title I staff are very dedicated to students and providing the support that our students need to achieve academically. So they just make sure that all of the students have access to their grade level content, and they do a lot of scaffolding and supports to ensure that students are able to engage with that material successfully. So they work hard, and they really love our students, and it's just a great group of teachers.
Great, thank you. One of the things that just came up on the slide is the One Plan. And again, the data falls into the One Plan, and you can see that this One Plan is new. In the past couple of years, the Department of Education has developed it with the assistance of schools and school districts. And again, it's intense, and it looks at trying to put together the what's called the school-wide plan. That again is that structure that we're going to utilize to assign dollars to, if you will. So you've got curriculum, you've got instruction, we're looking at graduation, safe and healthy schools. And we're going to talk about the safe and healthy schools through some grants also. And we'd like to know in that plan, if you will, what types of things do you think our staff need additional training in to help them work with you? And what type of skills would you like us to provide yourself in terms of understanding more and supporting additional things that your children might be into in instruction? For example, there may be parents out there who would like additional information or training in the technology, information on how the process actually works of instruction. You may want to know what types of things can I do around the house to support mathematics or reading or science, those types of things. What types of things should I be looking at in terms of getting my student involved in extracurricular field trips things in the community. So we want to know what you think you need in terms of training opportunities, and we'll provide that. And then the other thing again is what do you think we need for teachers to enhance their skills in working with you? Think about that. And at the end of the program, we'll get into questions and answers. Let's see if we can do some of that discussion. The parent's right to know. Under the law, under the federal law, you are entitled to talk to our HR person and request the credentials, short of the Social Security number or MasterCard. You are able to ask about the credentials of our teachers. We are happy to tell you for the, oh my gosh, 15th, 20th year in a row that all of our teachers actually met the higher standard of highly qualified teachers when that piece of the law was in there, and we continue to have highly qualified teachers under the teacher licensure program. And as we get into professional development, teachers have to apply for a license. Some are denied. There's a test involved. We do a tremendous job with taking a teacher who wants to teach, who's meant to teach, and we provide them with professional development. And we have a grant that does that. We'll talk about that. But you have a right to be involved in the planning, evaluation, and funding. And that's what this meeting is kind of about, to get that information from you. And then you're entitled to know the teacher's qualifications. In other words, they might have a master's degree from Ohio State in elementary education. So you can be assured that our teachers are qualified to provide instruction to all of our kids. So those are your rights. The Title I program, in the use of funds, the instructional Title I is basically instructional support. And again, that gets into direct instruction as well as into parent involvement, into professional development. And again, it's about $600,000. That goes quick. When we hire teachers, we try to utilize as much of that money as we can to provide instruction. And this is over and above, all of this money is over and above what we're required to do with the state. So we have that opportunity with these funds. Title IIA is a professional development fund. We get about $100,000 in that fund. And what we do with that is that we'll provide after-school training, if you will. There's really an after-school to this. We'll provide training opportunities where they can go online. We try to bring in people throughout the year, experts, if you will, in best practices to provide the teachers with that. And the nice thing about it, I want to say, the nice thing about when we bring in people to provide training for our teachers, the day might be long, but we go back in there and we see if the teachers are actually using it. So a lot of places do professional development and nobody follows up with it. And I'm pleased to say that our supervisory staff, which includes Mrs. Westendorf and Mrs. McLaughlin, they do a wonderful job of following that up, so that if we see that we did a professional development event with teachers, that it means something. If it didn't work, we won't do it again. There's no use repeating it. And where we get the advice is from teachers themselves. We survey the teachers. Our administrative staff are always looking for opportunities for professional development expert or for experts in the field to provide support, and parents have those ideas too. So we get it around around the whole human enterprise with schools of what we need. And obviously we're looking at what the data shows from the kids. So we have kids, parents, teachers, administrative staff involved in it, and it tends to work. And we're doing a big professional development research project in terms of how we're going to process all of this. It's we're not leaving anything to guess about where those funds go to, because it's a lot of funds. Title IV is learning supports. Title IV was a new grant. It's not too old, a couple of years old. It's a good grant. It lets us look at other things than instruction. Certainly can do instruction, but it primarily looks at mental health for kids. It looks at training for teachers in various areas, technology, STEM. We have a whole list of things that we could use for those dollars. Unfortunately, there aren't a lot of dollars involved. I think this grant is probably about $60,000. And we do use it. You know, we've been using it for pardon me, for health opportunities, really look at students and make sure that we're doing good things for their health in the classroom. We're looking at things with mental health, particularly with the COVID. And we've done some counseling with it, but it's a good grant, and we wish they gave us more money. The nice thing about it is the very next grant that we look at is expanding opportunities for each child. It's kind of a mirror image in many ways, because you can use the funds for very similar things. And we use it for such things as STEM. You can use it again for counseling, but it's kind of a companion. And most people didn't look at it until you started to look and see what you could do. And it's very, very compatible with one another. So it gives us another $50,000 that we can look at these things. So we've got that. It's kind of the well-rounded idea of a student. It takes it somewhat out of the classroom and gives you other opportunities to provide for the kids, both of those grants. The special education grant, the Part B, is for K through 12, special education for identified kids. It's roughly about $600,000. Again, we put most of that money right into staffing. That's over and above the staffing that we already put in there through state funds. Special education was late in coming. It came in 1976, and it has always been underfunded. Special education, for any of you parents who have special needs kids, that has always been underfunded by Congress. It's starting to get a little bit better, but it's still underfunded. And but we try to utilize every dollar we can for those kids. And the next area is the elementary and secondary emergency relief fund. That's a mouthful, but that's what we call the ESSER funds, just for short. And there's kind of like they gave us the first round in 2020. Then there was a second round in 2021. Then they gave us another bit of money in 21. And it is this is where schools can catch up. Schools, as you know, in Ohio are typically underfunded in many cases. You know, the community schools, they can't raise money. Ever thought about that? They can't raise money. They can't go out and have a tax bill or anything like that. Our money is developed from monies that are generated in the school districts of residence for your child. So if you're in Delaware, in the city limits of Delaware, we're developing money for your child from Delaware. But that isn't, it always isn't a lot of money. And so that's how we come up with all of our federal funds. It's like we got to go through the school district to get the money. And the state does that through a formula. But still, we can't raise money. A district, if they're short, they can at least attempt a tax issue out there that may be successful, may not. But these ESSER funds have created the opportunity for us to catch up and maybe get ahead of the wave, that we can make sure that we have the best curriculum, the best instruction, the best supports for our kids. And it's important money. And we get, it's not a small amount right now with what we call, overall, it's about $3.5 million. And again, that's over a couple of years. So it's not like this is funded every year. It's actually over a 2-year period. So you start to cut that down a little bit and you see that it's a lot of money, but it's not an every year thing. This is it. Once we've got to use these funds very, very wisely, because we won't be getting them again. But as we've done a lot of additional instruction, counseling. We've done additional professional development. We have done additional parent involvement, and Jamie Staten, who does a marvelous job with this, she's got a budget for our field trips that we do and other, things that we're going to be doing, getting you books in the house, those types of things. So this money is very, very important. It's also helped our infrastructure. We do have infrastructure, making sure our technology is working well, making sure that we're looking to the future of how the technology is going to change and present itself. So it's not any problem. There's no, we don't want to hit a wall. With this money, we're not going to hit a wall because we can prevent any difficulties as we're looking at certainly the performance of kids. But those are the dollars, and so overall, if you add it up, it's not that we don't need the money, but we have a lot of money, probably around $8 or $9 million from the federal grants that we talked about, plus the ESSER funds. And you got to remember, the ESSER funds will be gone, and so we'll be down to our just our federal grants, which is about $1.5 million, which is still a lot of money. So we're trying to make up for times when we had no dollars. So at this point, and there's a survey here that Jamie put up, and we'd really like the survey. If you could, there you go, in the chat box. Let's open it up for some questions. Let me just ask you, what do you think your needs are in terms of training needs that we could provide for you, that we could get you some professional development, parent development, if you will? What kind of topics? Do you have any ideas right now? You can either speak up or put it in the chat box. Okay. Well, you'll still have an opportunity through the surveys. Do you think some of our teachers or all of our teachers need additional skills in working with you? Holy mackerel. This is a good group. Okay. How about from the standpoint, were you aware that you had the right to know the teacher's qualifications? I'm assuming that you did. We send out that information. Nobody wants to talk tonight. Okay. Are there any questions in general that you might have?
I do. Hi, I do have a question.
Okay.
My name is Monica Moore. I was wondering, are they going to offer like cybersecurity programs for the kids, like different programs they could get into?
Mrs. Westendorf, do you want to respond to that?
Sure. I'm not sure specifically right now for offering cybersecurity. I'd have to look into that. But that is a fantastic idea. And I do know that we have our CTE program that offers training in a lot of those technical topics and STEM type of courses. So
Oh, I got to look into that because I didn't know we had any type of computer classes.
oh yes. If you would like to put your student's name in the chat, I could look into that and have them send you some information about CTE.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Any other questions, comments? Mrs. Westdorf, do you have any questions that you'd like to ask our group?
Not right now.
Okay.
Thank you, Veron.
Okay. Jamie, do you have any questions? No.
I do not have any questions. I just have a statement saying, I know Ron threw a lot of information at everyone tonight, so it's kind of a lot to take in. So you can fill out the survey tonight. I'll send it out tomorrow. And if you can think of anything in the meantime or a couple days from now, you can reach out to us and we'll address it then as well. A question came up, said, let me see, what about drone science project? Could that be a possible, maybe something for bullying? It's definitely something I think that we can check into. I don't think we're doing it now, but we can kind of look into it. It's a good question.
Sure. And that type of program is fundable through several of these different grants. That's good. That's great. Okay, anything else? Well, we thank you for being here tonight. Be sure you fill out the survey. We know that some people are shy and may not want to talk. So maybe on the survey, take a look at that. Take a look at the school compact, the school pledge, and the parent engagement plan. And we hope to hear from you. We'll have another one of these meetings in the fall, and we'll ask for you to participate. So thank you very much, and have a good evening.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Jamie, for all of your work. Thanks, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We'll talk soon.